Welcome back to the pod. It's Anna Gibbs, and this is Monday Morning Mojo. And I am so excited because I'm joined by my friend, my colleague, Robin White. She is an amazing individual who is going to share a lot about her story and what is next, what is happening in her world right now. But Robin has been a real estate professional for 30 years, and she is a leader and a mentor, an entrepreneur, and the founder of We Are Women, which is an amazing not-for-profit that she has designed to really support women, but educate and advocate for women in multiple spaces. So we'll get into all of that. But first, let me just say hi, Robin, and welcome to the
Hey,
show.
Anna, good to be here, Anna. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so happy you're here. So I opened with just a little bit about your background, but Robin, 30 years in real estate and any industry is quite an accomplishment.
Yes.
So if anyone has not had the pleasure of meeting you, tell us a little bit about your journey. Who is Robin and what has brought you to where you are right now in this chapter of your life?
Okay, so 30 years ago, I moved to Orange County as a stay-at-home mom and raising four children and was quite ready to be that suburban housewife. And then my husband had a major stroke, and that brought me back out into the work world. I was a buyer, a TV buyer actually for women's clothing and jewelry in the city, but I had small children, my youngest being 1 year old. I could not pick up that role again. I've always had an interest in real estate, went back into retail, and was found by a broker and got into real estate and never left. Okay, and have had many wonderful experiences and met great people. And now I instruct, I'm a real estate instructor. I'm part of the Leadership Academy. I've been with my real estate company for 14 years, and it's been a ride.
I can only imagine. I mean, like I said, for anyone to be in an industry for 30 years says a lot. And real estate is, I mean, it's rewarding, it's complex. You're helping people make some of the biggest decisions of their lives.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure that you've seen a lot, but I'm just
Too
curious,
much.
to narrow it down a little, what do you think this career has really taught you? Maybe not just about business, but about people.
Patience.
Say it again.
Patience.
Patient.
Yes, patience. Yeah. It's taught me, well, it taught me not to make assumptions about, I think what we do is when we grow up, oh, I want to buy a house. But what does that house mean? I've learned through different cultures that a home is not just where you live. It's where you build family. It's where you build wealth. It's where you commit to community. It's where hopes and dreams are, built. It's where funding for college and there for emergencies even. It's home. And home encompasses a lot. And it means different things to different people. And I've learned to respect that. The whole concept of home ownership here in America it's still the American dream.
Yeah, I would like to believe that's true. And I mean, you're working with people during a big transaction. It's a major decision in their
Absolutely.
life, and I'm sure, like you said, patience because I'm sure there are times emotions run high, and
That's the understatement. Yes.
I mean, everyone who's listening to the show knows I've spent the last 15 years leading and coaching real estate agents and real estate professionals. So I've watched it. And so, what do you think you've learned about yourself as a real estate professional? Because sometimes you
Oh,
show up as a psychologist, right? Sometimes you show up as a
nurse,
coach.
doctor, lawyer, babysitter, keep the whole thing. What I've learned about myself is that to be flexible, to also have forgiveness of self,
Mm,
because in every real estate transaction is different, and sometimes you make mistakes, sometimes you make assumptions, and you have to forgive yourself to be able to move yourself forward. I've learned to self-motivate. That's important because on those down days, where I think I've quit real estate at least 30 times in the business.
that's
But
honest, right?
yeah, no, well, I've learned that I'm capable, I'm enough. Okay. When I first got into this business, most of your brokers were male. Okay, your salespeople were female. Some wives are, housewives that came into the business to just do a little something. Okay, but I've learned professionalism, learned integrity. I've learned that your reputation is very important to you. And you always have to be in a win-win situation. Not every deal you can make, not every deal you should make. So I've learned to let go.
Yeah.
I've learned to let go.
Well, and you just touched on something interesting. You've been in the business for 3 decades, and life has changed
Don't say
dramatically.
it like that way.
Um, sorry, for 30 years, a long time. For a minute, you've been in it for a minute, and life has changed a lot in that time. And I
Absolutely.
think that men and women are looking at real estate differently today, and the
Absolutely.
opportunity to really be an entrepreneur and really run a business. And
Yes.
that is different than maybe just looking to do something on the side, as many
Right.
people look at real estate as an opportunity for that too. I want to go back to something you said a little while ago. You were talking about when you got started in real estate, when you moved up to this area, and you were really balancing your real estate business, this career. You were raising a family, and then you talked just briefly about the fact that you were supporting your husband through his illness. And looking back at that time, how do you think that chapter shaped the woman and leader you've become?
Wow. That chapter, well, first of all, that chapter shaped me to know that I had the ability to become a leader, to become a breadwinner, to become an entrepreneur, to become a person well-rounded. Okay, I was part of the women's lib generation. Bring home the bacon fried in a pan. So when I decided to become a stay-at-home mom, it wasn't looked upon as, oh, you're doing what you're supposed to. And then I had to come and change what to be the leader of my home, with my family, and that built strength, that built endurance, that built confidence. Okay, because when I jumped into real estate, trust me, there was no confidence for that.
Well, you know
Did not-
what I just heard you say too is that you were willing to go outside of the norm.
Yeah,
You made decisions that were right for you and your family, regardless of what may have been the trend or the movement at the time.
yeah, I did. Again, the business was looked at not professional, not to where it is today. It didn't have the reputation that, realtors are respected and that they're professionals and they're experts at what they do. It was again kind of just do this, okay, not a business. So I learned how to grow a business. I learned how to put those tools in that gave confidence to not only my clients, okay, but to my fellow realtors, because you do have to build a reputation with your fellow realtors, and
Sure.
that's very important. Okay.
How has it shaped you as a leader? You consider yourself a leader today.
Yes, I do. I
How
definitely do.
has that all shaped your leadership?
To do bold steps. I was one of the first people who brought in buyer's agency. Okay, I
Mhm.
worked as a buyer's agent about 20 years in. Even actually before that, I took the classes when they were just coming. I started representing buyers, which was not the norm. Okay, and teaching that. Always a proponent for fair housing, sticking up for advocating for housing that, as I told many people, our young people would not be able to afford to live here, and that I stood up with the legislators and everything about 20 years ago. So I felt myself being put into roles that I didn't necessarily see myself as a leader, but kept
Looking back
being.
now, you see that that's what
Yeah,
it
I did.
at
I
the
did.
moment you were just doing what came naturally at the
Hmm.
time.
Yeah, what my passion was, yes.
Yeah. So if you had the opportunity to go back and talk to young Robin, if you could go back to maybe that time when you started your real estate career and you were navigating raising young children, that part of motherhood, navigating your husband's illness, what advice or encouragement would you give her?
One, to keep on going. Two, to not waste time. Okay. I think, especially at the beginning of your real estate career, you're so busy looking at others and going, oh my God, how did they do this? What not waste the time, do it. When you have a thought, stand on it. If you're convicted with what you believe in, then go for it. So yeah, I would definitely tell younger Robin, don't look at the others. Don't judge my inside by others people's outsides.
Love
Okay,
that.
that's something that has really stuck with me.
That's gold right there. I love that. So, at some point, your focus shifted from I mean, you're still a real estate agent. However, it shifted to other things. Like you talked about, you like to train. You're an educator within the industry. What inspired that, Rhonda? What motivates you to be someone who gets up and teaches and shares her knowledge with others?
Wanting realtors to understand that this is a profession. Okay, it's not a fly by night. I saw where, of course, the market fell in 2008, and we had people who were getting into the business from different walks of life, and they had no understanding that this is not just a paycheck, that you are representing people, that there are emotions. So for me, I want you to have integrity. I want you to know your business. You know, if that means that you have to ride the roads, which is usually what I would tell, new agents, you don't know the area, go ride the roads. Throw your kids in the car. There's always a Cumberland Farm or a Stewart's, and you can get them ice cream, but learn where you are. I did that. Okay. I didn't know. I was a kid from Brooklyn. I'm in the boondocks. Okay.
Right, you
So
came out to suburbia, upstate New York. It was very different.
yeah, well, I started in Sullivan County, so that was
Even
very
more
cool.
rural than yeah.
And so, yeah, so I had to learn, the back roads and stuff. And that's what it takes to be a professional. So I want to keep that integrity about our business, that we are professionals, that what we do affects community, affects families. So that's what got me into wanting to teach, to mentor other agents who sometimes didn't get that because they were looking at the paycheck. And this
Very.
job is way more than the paycheck.
And then at some point that turned into or shifted more into, I think, wanting to educate and create opportunities specifically for women. So I want to talk about something you've been working on in this part of your life right now, which is the not-for-profit that you have developed called We Are Women. And I would love for you to share with us what inspired the vision behind We Are Women. What is the mission? What are the problems or opportunities that you're hoping this organization will solve or
Okay.
conversations that will
So
spring?
through church, okay, I was running women ministries, doing retreats, we call them advances, and developed a group called Circle of Friends, which was addressing single women and some of the problems that they faced. One of the things that happened when my husband did have his major stroke, there were things I did not know. One of the things my financial planner didn't tell me until after, that my universal life and my whole policy I could have put on hold for a year until I could figure out and not lose that because my husband then became uninsurable. Okay. Funny story. I got arrested in Montgomery because I was going to my hairdresser and I didn't take care of the car. I had no idea about the insurance lapsing or anything. And
Oh boy.
yeah, the officer pulls me over and tells me my insurance lapsed. The car is in suspension and I cannot drive it. And I'm like maybe a quarter of a mile from my girlfriend's house where I'm getting my hair done, my hairdresser. And he wouldn't let me drive it there. And I'm just like, and I'm on the side of the road crying because he has to put me into his cruiser.
Oh
Now,
gosh. So you
so
didn't
for
really get arrested. You
no, I didn't get arrested. We're telling you, we're being, it was
yeah.
like, oh my God.
This was during the time when your husband was ill several
Yeah.
years ago. And so what I love about your honesty here is there were things that he may have taken care of that you just weren't aware of, and it was a lot. It was a lot to process.
And so as I started to talk to women and I found out that I was not the only one, I was not the only one who did not know maybe about their insurance or, the story that bothers me the most is I've always done something with women in financial planning. And dear friend worked for Columbia Presbyterian. They brought out a 401k. And because of there was no one in her family that knew about it, talked about it, wasn't really clear. She worked 20 some odd years without investing into her 401k that was matching funds. So
Wow.
when it came time for her to retire, it wasn't there.
She didn't have it. Yeah.
She didn't have it. In this business, how many women have I seen whose either mates have passed away or there's divorce, and now their whole financial, world has changed, and they don't know where to go. Caregivers who don't realize that there are resources out there to help them. Like the Department of Energy, if you have an elderly parent that you're taking care of while taking care of your children, what type of resources are there? And what I find is that there are resources for women and a different social economic, platform. So if you're in that middle, you have that middle class, and I don't like using that word, but you have that middle woman, okay, that don't have the opportunity to find these things, that doesn't.
There's always some segment of the population that falls between a crack somewhere, right?
Right. Thank you for helping me clarify
Yeah,
that.
no
And,
problem.
and that's the woman I go for. That's the woman who can't go on her job and ask maybe certain questions because of her position. You don't want a CEO coming to ask something that could be so basic. So
If we
women
limit
can't.
ourselves or hold ourselves back.
We
So,
definitely do.
so as we are, so for someone who may be hearing about We Are Women for the first time, if you could tell us in a sentence or two, what is the vision that you had? I don't know exactly when it was birthed from you, but what was the
Actually,
tell us? Okay.
but believe it or not, in 2012, I got a group of women together to develop a resource, okay, an education that we gain information for financial stability, okay, professional development, mental health.
For
Um,
each other, it was sort of like
yeah,
your
well, I was calling them together for a board. These were the areas that I saw women were lacking, okay, because one, we don't talk about our mental health. Taboo, we're fine. That's our famous words. We're fine. We're
Yeah.
not. Okay. Financial stability. Well, how do you do a 401k? Do you buy real estate? Do you, use those things? Okay. Professional development. Maybe you want to go further in your career, but you don't have the funds to be able to do that. You might want to do coaching, but cannot. But if I could expose women to other women who either have gone before them or have these, then that just grows the community. Because once you grow a woman, you grow a family, you grow a community, you
I
change
believe
the world.
that. That is very true. I believe that to be true. So, Robin, I have to ask you, we've always been honest with each other, so I'm just going to put
Absolutely.
the question out there. You're at a time in your life where some women would be not slowing down, but it's looking at life differently, retirement or more leisure versus work. And yet now you're at a point in your life where you started this movement of not for profit, which is no easy undertaking. Why? Why now? And I love that you are going to inspire some people to know it's never too late to start a new thing.
Well, this is true because legacy.
Okay.
I have daughters, I have granddaughters. I want them to be able to understand that the sky is the limit, okay? And that, yeah, age, you know, here in America, we have a very funny view about age, okay? And, the golden rainbow, you retire, life is golden. But there's so much knowledge, there's so much experience that will stop if you don't keep giving.
Yeah.
So it's my time to give back. It's my time to pull someone along. It's my time to stand shoulder to shoulder with a woman who might have been going through some of the things that I've gone through. It's my time to pour into the next generation. I love talking to my granddaughter and just pouring out as she getting ready to go on college, it's imperative that older women teach younger women. Okay, so I'm gonna have a little scripture in there, and that's something that's very important
Sure.
because if we don't teach them, how will they learn? Yeah.
Well, and I love that. And I love the concept of legacy. But again, you're building something new. You're building something from the ground up. And I think the question might be, where does your energy come from? Right? Because I think sometimes that's another thing. We look at all these ideas and all these goals and all these visions. And what I find so inspiring is that you have this stamina and this energy to start something completely new. So, what would you say to someone who's listening to this and wondering, where are you getting that from?
For every woman that comes across my path and tells me a story, okay, of what she's going through, that she feels the freedom to be able to share and feel a safe place. I had a woman who we met for tea, which is why we do teas, because it just opens people up. And she was going through a crisis in her family, but she couldn't share it with anyone. She didn't have a safe place. For me, developing a safe place where a woman can exhale, get the resources she needs, find the support that she desires, okay, that inspires me. That keeps me going. That's my happy place, okay? That gives me the energy because I know that maybe, I'm changing her life. I'm giving her hope, a sense of encouragement. She can say, me too. I can do this.
Yeah.
I can get through this. So that's what it
Robin,
comes to.
what's one life lesson that you have learned, or a lesson that life has taught you that you wish another younger woman could learn earlier than you did?
Listen to your inner voice. Listen to your inner voice. 12 years ago, when I put a business plan together for We Are Women, I was depending on other women opinion and what they thought, and they were on the same page, but it wasn't their passion. And
Well, it wasn't
if
their vision, right? It was
it
yours.
wasn't their vision, it wasn't their passion. They were willing to walk aside, but they couldn't, they didn't have it. And so what you tend to do sometimes is do that second guessing. Am I on the right track? Maybe this is foolish. Who needs this? Life did, get involved, but it kept resonating with me. And as I listened more and more, even now, as developing this, bringing it forth, it's challenging. But listening to my inner voice, knowing that there's a place, okay, there's a place for everyone, and everyone has a talent and a gift. So listen to your inner voice, follow your passion.
What does success mean for you today versus what you thought it meant 30 years ago?
Oh my God. I was telling someone recently, success for me is to be able to go visit a sick friend, a friend whose husband actually is ill, and to be able to take 2 days out of my week to go travel an hour and a half to support her, to love on her, to let her cry if she needs to vent if she asks to. That to me is success. To be available for when my sisterhood needs me. Okay. 30 years ago, no, I mean, when my husband and I moved up here, it was the house, the cars. He was a computer analyst, so it was the status of his job. It was, look at us. He can afford to keep me home. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I've had fur coats. I've had diamonds. Means absolutely nothing. But to be able to pick up the phone and give encouragement, to be able to go and sit with someone in the hospital as they're going through their worst nightmare, 10 o'clock at night, to be able to encourage someone and, just say, hey, it's gonna be okay. Look at me. I got
Yeah.
through it. That's success for me.
That's beautiful. So, if there was one thing you wish every woman understood about leadership, financial independence, or believing in herself, what would it be? Because I think that is bringing it back to the philosophy you have of the
We
mission,
are women.
right? Yeah.
In every woman's life, there's a point where she comes to a point of change. And if she allows herself to change and to open up her mindset to that change, she will become the better person of who she is. And she will be able to reach out. And that's what we are women about. Because life is about change and women do change. And as we transition, we need the help. We need the assistance. We need the sisterhood. One of the things that we are women is that when you come to one of our teas, we ask you to write down all the titles, okay? Because we carry titles as women. We're mothers, we're CEOs, we're everything. But if you strip away our titles, the one common denominator that we have is that we are women. You're born a daughter, could be born a sister, but the commonality that we have is that we are women. So when I see a young woman who's 8 months pregnant, I understand her misery at that point because all she wants is
No matter
everyone.
how many years it's been, we remember.
Right. And it doesn't matter if she's Egyptian or Hispanic or Jewish or anything, because that's the commonality. Is
Yeah.
that we are women. Okay. And we have that basic knowledge of each other. And
So
with that, we create.
I'm going to turn that around for you, Robin. That was well said. So, after all the different titles and roles you've held, wife, mother, realtor, business owner, leader, caregiver, founder, who is Robin today?
Learning how to accept herself in her elder role. Okay. Yeah, that was hard for me to get out. Okay, but I'm starting to understand I am an elder. I am someone who has trailblazed for others, accepting that role, accepting that I'm no longer the new kid on the block, so to speak, you know, accepting that role, the mature woman.
Yeah. I also like to think in terms of the future and wonder what you might want to say to someone listening who is or has thought that maybe it's too late for them to start something new, or they're in this chapter of their life where they're supposed to slow down. You have
Never,
shown.
never. I have been exposed to tremendous women. A dear friend of mine at 74 bought her first house. Okay.
Ah,
Another friend of mine who wanted to learn how to play piano bought herself a baby grand piano and now plays. And she's always wanted to swim. And she took swimming lessons. And though she was going to the Caribbean for years, she would only go not even waist high. Now she swims in the Caribbean Ocean and she's 75. So it doesn't stop. Keep dreaming, keep pushing, keep hoping, keep hope alive, to use a cliche. Yes, you can, because you can. Until your last breath, there's always opportunity.
well, and I think that was really one of many reasons why I wanted you to share your story and talk about this on the podcast because, and you touched on it a little while ago, that you push past the social norms many times in your life to do what is right for you at that moment or right for your family. And I think that there are these expectations or social norms or what we think we're supposed to do. And who says that's got to be true?
I mean, true. When
Who
we
says that when you get to 62, you're supposed to retire? Who says? I mean, if you want to, if that's your choice, that's fine. But who says it has to be?
and even so, what does retirement look like? Retirement doesn't necessarily mean, when I heard my parents talk about retirement was to relax and to sit down and sit on the porch and watch grass grow. I can't even imagine that. Okay. Um,
Sounds terrible.
it's not, right? But actually, I want to change that for a moment because my mother took a trip to Israel and I believe she was about 57. That was a desire, and she went by herself. Okay, not into a tour. She went by herself. So I think one of the things her philosophy was you learn something new every day. So if you keep learning, you keep growing. If you keep growing, then you have to do something with that. You just don't grow in a even a plant in a pot outgrows its pot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. To kind of wind this beautiful conversation up, only because we only have so much time, but I could talk to you for hours. What has this part of your life, this phase of your life right now, really taught you about yourself? Because I asked you what you learned about yourself through your real estate career. You talked about patience and some other things around leadership. Well, what is right now teaching you about yourself?
take care of self.
Okay.
That that though as women we tend to be caregivers, we tend to enable, we tend to, do for others, and we don't look at ourselves.
Mhm.
Okay. One of the things that I will say to anyone younger, take care of your health. Because if you want the quality of life that you want to lead when you're retired or whatever your dream is, if you don't have your health, you don't have that equity. Okay. So
Yeah.
one, take care of your health. So I'm learning self-care. That it's okay to go, hey, today not doing anything that, is taxing my mind or stressing myself. Learn your nervous system.
Mm.
Okay. We don't look at that. In today's age, we take on a lot of stress that we're not even aware of.
We say
So,
yes to a lot of things, right?
oh my
And
God, we say
yeah.
yes to a lot of things. Make an appointment with yourself. I've learned to do that. In my appointment book, it says appointment. You don't know if it's to get that I'm getting my nails done or my hair done or, I'm going to a spa, but I'm taking care of me. I'm taking care of what I need. And then take that time daily to just reflect on you, learn what you like.
Yeah. Okay, a couple of rapid fire questions before we wrap up this
Okay.
conversation. Of course, this is Monday Morning Mojo. So, what do you do to get your mojo going or get your mojo back, Robin?
Okay, for me, Anna, it's prayer. It's to start my day every morning with prayer and to have that quiet time to just ask God, hey, where do you want me to go today? What do
Yeah,
you want me to do?
yeah, for sure. Okay, and tell us how we can learn more about We Are Women. Someone listening, I'm sure, wants to understand more about what you're creating here.
Absolutely.
And so, give us some information about that.
Okay, so we're on Facebook, which is under We Are, and it's the letter R, Women, okay? And on Instagram, We Are Women HB. So you'll be following with that. We have an annual tea. We actually do two, which themes around our 5 pillars. Our next tea is October 18th at Stony Ford. We had one in April, which I look, first of all, I love the women who come out. Women, it's a team. Put on those hats. If you want,
Yes, it's so fun.
wear the gloves, okay? Just enjoy yourself. And
Yeah.
remember, we are women, okay? And we are starting workshops. We just had one, which was on financial literacy, estate planning. So look
Great.
for that. You'll be seeing save the date for October 18th. And we're doing a couple of specials with that. So just follow us, keep looking, and we will give information and share various things that just help us grow as women.
That's great. And we'll put some links in the show notes so anyone can find you and start following you on social media and your website and all the things. So, Robin, thank you so much for joining me. Is
Thank you.
there, yes, is there a question that you wish I had asked you that I haven't?
Oh, wow. Anna, you asked so many great questions. No, I don't think there is. Just, yeah, I guess the only thing which you just did is what is next for We Are Women. Okay. And okay, how to grow We Are Women. So I need people to follow us. Okay. I need people to like us, share us. Okay. And attend our events so that it can grow.
And
And that
I've
this,
been to these events. They're phenomenal. You have had some incredible speakers. And
Absolutely.
conversations at the tables are powerful. There's always a prompt that you throw out that get us talking, and it's a wonderful, wonderful event. Every time I've gone, they've grown in attendance, so it's definitely a movement, and it will continue to grow. So yes, please do find a way to connect with Robin and We Are Women. And I just thank you for joining me, my friend, today. This was a great conversation. I
It
think
is.
you're I think you're a wonderful inspiration to all of us, and regardless of where we are on our journey in our careers or in our lives, that, when you feel a calling, when you feel compelled to be of service, to create something that supports a mission or a vision, that you do it no matter where you are in your life, no matter what age you're at, no matter what you think your next move is. Sometimes God has another idea.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
we have to obey that. And I'm excited to see what comes next for you and We Are Women. So thank you so much for being here. Love
Thank
you.
you. Love you too.
I love all of you too. Thank you for joining me every week. It is truly a pleasure to do this podcast. And I trust that you've gotten something great out of today's conversation. So if you have, let us know. I appreciate your 5-star review and share this with a friend, because there's someone else who probably needs the message. So do that for somebody right now before the rest of your day starts. So we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks again.
Thanks, Anna.